On this episode of a very kooky countdown, kooky modes of transport. From big basketballs that drive to flying or cycling fish cruising in the park. Cars that travel on land and in the air, and even underwater. Find out more on a very kooky countdown. Welcome to another episode of a very kooky countdown. Today we're looking at the kookiest modes of transport we could lay our hands on. First up, at number 10, here's a couch that will take you up, and away. The only hard part could be making your way back to ground safely.
The best thing is just the peace, serenity. It's just so quiet. You know, there's no wind up there because I'm moving with the wind.
I don't even really know why I wanted to come to Idaho. I just wanted to get out of the state.
Would you believe more than 300 kilometers out of the state?
Idaho people are nice, at least here in Cambridge, really nice people. And, you know, we struggled on our last one where I landed. A guy kicked us off the property as soon as I hit ground, and here they were giving me hugs.
48-year-old petrol station owner Kent Crouch soared to new heights in his lawn chair, rigged with more than 150 giant party helium-filled balloons. At number 2 on this episode's countdown of kooky contraptions to get you from point A to point B, here's a new mode for New York's police force. NYPD has been looking at new ways to connect, and it seems they have traded in the petrol cars for the all-new Segway scooter. It seems not only the officers like the new style, but the public too.
Community, yeah, they like it. I noticed that, you know, everybody's always cheering, the kids were and adults. So it's a positive impact. I mean, they seem to like the technology and they want to know how it works. And I'll be honest, I like it's interesting. So far so good.
The department has purchased 10 of the new scooters, made by American company Segway Incorporated, but they won't be used to catch crooks. Instead, the force will use the machines to build up relations with the public. Currently, the scooter is used in Central Park, Yankee Stadium, and Shea Stadium, but there are no plans for the machines to be used on New York's main streets. Police say they're not a vehicle, but more to replace traditional foot patrols.
These are great. When you're on it, I'm like 5'3". When I'm on it, it makes me like 6 feet tall. You know, I get higher visibility and, you know, I'll be able to see everything.
Officer Anna Serrano, who rides and trains officers on how to use the scooters, says there are many benefits.
I guess the police presence is always a good thing, you know, as long as they're not speeding through the park and doing something like that.
I would see that more as a game or something very trendy, or, you know, like more like for maybe fashion victims, and I see cops on it, you know, it's funny.
As you can see, the reaction so far has been mixed. At number 8 on a very kooky countdown, could this be the new enviro-friendly substitute to the SUV? This is the Christiania bike, an environmentally friendly sports utility vehicle of the bicycle world. The tricycle is capable of carrying 100 kilograms, say around 2 children, and it doesn't put out a single gram of CO2 when you use it. Well, it's a bike, I guess.
I definitely prefer the Christiania bike because it is impossible to park your car here.
In hard-to-park places, that makes sense. It does not use any gasoline. It's smaller, there is no pollution, and you don't have to insure it. Is there anything this thing can't do? It makes it easier to go places, and it runs on pure foot energy. There is no reason for me to have a car. I can have most of my things in here. Being a musician, Stig carries his contrabass around in Copenhagen. The bike was born in the car-free Christiania, and now it's being produced at full speed. It is not exactly driving cars that is popular now, but bicycling, which is healthy and saves the environment. Not long after the bike was launched, the rest of the country started demanding the no-pollution vehicle. And the manufacturers are estimating that around 10,000 of the bikes are in use in Copenhagen today. Even the postal office scrapped their bikes and went with the Christiania. The advantage is that we can carry out more mail, but it can get quite heavy to drive in stormy weather. There's nothing but positives for this machine. The majority of our customers are families with children, and it would have to be a black future where people do not give birth to children anymore. When we return, discover flying cars, cycling fish, and much more. Welcome back. Here's a car that will have you bouncing to the beat when you drive.
I think the car is very beautiful. I mean, you don't see nothing like this in the United States. So, I mean, you know, I think India is doing it first, and I mean, it's beautiful, and I like it. I mean, you know, I want to take it home with me.
You can certainly tell this car was designed by a basketball tragic. Move over, Mary Poppins. Our number 6 spot on this kooky transportation episode of A Very Kooky Countdown goes to the Parajet Skycar.
I formally launched the prototype road-legal biofueled flying car, the Parajet Skycar, and the Skycar Expedition 2009.
Our camera crew was just in time for the official launch. This project is the brainchild of Giles Cardozo. When not flying his car, Giles is an engineer. He also piloted one of the 2 powered paragliders that flew over Mount Everest in 2007. These machines look difficult to fly, but not according to Giles.
Basically, you have a paraglider wing, which is, as you see flying in the mountains and things like that, you strap them onto a harness normally. Well, it's about the same size as a conventional paraglider. It packs into the boot, okay? It attaches to those top connection points there, lays out behind the car. You jump into the driver's seat, open up the throttle, the fan spins up, the wing launches, and you just accelerate away down the runway, and within about 100 yards, you've taken off and you're flying around. It flies at a top speed of about 70 miles an hour and drives on the road at about 120. So it's a pretty quick, fun kind of buggy to drive around in.
You can just see these things now, touching down and landing at beaches everywhere. Pity for the ones sunbaking.
I think the main thing is with this, it's not an all-weather machine. You've got to be quite considerate about the weather. You don't want to be flying in the rain, in the wind too much, all that kind of thing. So it's more of a fun toy than a sort of the ultimate means of transport. This public launch was to announce a team of British adventurers who are setting off on a massive journey from London to Timbuktu in the world's first road-legal biofueled flying car. The team believes it will take around 6 weeks to travel through France, Spain, Morocco, Western Sahara, Mauritania and Mali, then back home via Senegal. Some of the challenges along the way are to fly the Parajet Skycar across the English Channel, the Straits of Gibraltar and huge sections of the Sahara Desert. Keep a lookup. You never know when you might see one of these guys. At number 5 on our kooky countdown, we travel to the Netherlands, the home of bikes, for an attempt at riding the longest bicycle ever. What better place to do this than in Holland, where bikes are part and parcel of getting around the country.
A giant crane was needed to lift the 400-kilogram bike into place for the record attempt.
You need a frame that's very stiff and it's very light, because when it's too heavy, it will break itself down. So we came up with this construction. It's totally made of aluminium, so it's very lightweighted, and it is it has the stiffness we wanted to have for the 27 meters.
When the bike was all laid out, a quick measure showed it at 28 meters. A minor error, but a good one.
Yes, we hope so. We've tested it a few times, and it's gonna be exciting. But I'm keeping my fingers crossed.
The bike is made from lightweight aluminium, constructed in 3 main sections, connected by smaller angled pieces. The 2 engineering students, Tije Meer and Jan Bart Brink, built the bike at the Technical University of Delft in Holland. It took them 3 months to design and build this kooky bicycle, and the pair were surprised in the end that even using lightweight materials, the bike turned out to be quite heavy.
Quite heavy in the end. The steering didn't hold properly, so I had to find new places to hold on, which really affected my cycling performance. But yeah, it was heavy and a different kind of road. But I'm happy we made it. It's not for nothing when all the efforts we did.
The boys celebrated in style when they achieved their record, riding the required distance with relative ease. It's fine to build the longest bicycle in the world, but to get in the record books you have to ride it too, over a minimum distance of 100 metres without the support of a third stabilising wheel. The biggest problem with this bike now is finding a place to park it. As we continue at number 4 on our kooky transport countdown, we go from the longest bike in the world to the weirdest bike ever. This is the fish bike, and it's made 10,000 bicycle bells. Its inventor, who we can see here mastering this crazy machine, is Senft, who has spent 4 months designing and creating this very fishy-looking vehicle. Didi is a bicycle nut who has already created many weird and kooky machines from Germany. This time, it was the fish bike's turn to be wheeled out and swim. I say, ride the 11-kilometre distance to a fish restaurant in a neighbouring town. Senft gave up cycling more than 30 years ago and now spends his time busy building bicycles and travelling to major bike riding events like the Tour de France and showcasing his kooky contraptions. Wearing his signature Red Devils costume, he hopes he can fire people up to get more involved in riding bikes. Senft proudly rode his bike the 11 kilometres with his 2 grandchildren riding their bikes by his side. Of course, they weren't on a traditional style bike, they both rode mini fish bikes made by their grandfather. Up next, our top 3 ways to transport yourself around town on a very kooky countdown. Ahead of the Eurobike fair in Frankfurt, we caught up with the inventor of the Yike bike. It's our number 3 spot on a very kooky countdown. The Yike bicycle is a fold-away, portable electric bike that boasts a top speed of 20 kilometres an hour and has a range of 10 kilometres between charges. You're looking at this thinking, this is the Formula One of electric bikes, right? It certainly looks impressive, but it's also very practical.
You know, a lot of people who go on a train and then have got a large walk, or they've got to use a car at either end of it. So people who just don't want the hassle of having a bicycle stolen, they can just take it in there, stick it under their desk. You never have to leave it outside. Super small volume, just take it anywhere. Go and catch up with mates for a beer. It's very easy to move around a city.
Why the name Yike? Well, that's what you say the first time you ride it, or at least something along those lines. The Yike bike is a real breakthrough in technology. It's as easy to laptop, and a 30-minute charge will give you enough power to ride around 10 kilometres. The carbon fibre body has been designed on a penny farthing style bicycle, so it can be easily folded into a compact package. Using a standard bike design was never going to achieve this.
You can drive about 10 kilometres on it, and it only takes 30 minutes to charge up. So it's designed for those short little journeys in between. If you want to go further than that, you're going to use something else, but this is for linking with all the other transport devices you've got.
The inventors of the Yike bike designed it with portability in terms of weight and ease of charge in mind. While the bike faces some great use of technology, it's also very safe to ride.
We've never had anybody hit the ground riding because you can just step off the front. So we've done everything to make it safer than a bicycle. It's got electronic anti-skid brakes, first bike in the world to have that. It's got great acceleration, so if you need to get out of the road of traffic, you can. It's got built-in indicators, lights, brake lights, nice, safe riding position, and it's speed limited to 20 kilometres an hour, so you can't go too far, so it's very safe.
The Yike bike can carry up to 100 kilograms, but the makers are planning a new version that will carry much more than this. Price might also be a stumbling block, with the cost now around $4,500 US. But the inventors say that the price should come down as they sell more product around the globe. A very kooky countdown continues on our quest towards the kookiest form of transport we can find. This one certainly hits the mark at number 2. A Swiss company, Rinspeed, has turned one man's childhood dream into reality and created the world's first underwater car. Named Scuba, the car can drive on both roads, then, with the push of a button, it can dive up to 10 metres underwater. It's all thanks to some cutting-edge technology. While the car has a steel chassis, its body is made of lightweight panels made of carbon nanotubes. It has an electric motor that provides the rear wheels with power while driving on land. But then, underwater, this power transfers to 2 propellers in the stern and 2 jet drives in the bow, which propel the vehicle underwater. The car is also very environmentally friendly, no matter which environment it's travelling in, on land or in water, emitting 0 pollution. Looking like something straight out of a James Bond movie, the creators call this the first car to drive both on land and underwater. If you're wondering how a convertible can travel from land to underwater and keep a fresh supply of oxygen to the passengers, they've thought of everything. When the car hits the H2O, a self-contained onboard oxygen system pops up to supply the driver and passenger with fresh air. Unfortunately, it can't keep your hairdo in place. The Scuba car was first presented to the public at the Geneva Motor Show, but the makers don't see a mass production model on the horizon anytime soon. This is a true concept car. Rinspeed CEO Frank Rindeneat said that the inspiration for the car came directly from the silver screen. He got the idea while watching the 1977 James Bond film, The Spy Who Loved Me. And 30 years later, he made fantasy become a reality. In the movie, the filmmakers used model cars and trick photography to achieve the underwater car. But now, for any future films, there's a real car as an option. Safety is obviously something the makers had to consider with a project like this. And it's comforting to note that if the car is running out of oxygen, it gives a warning advising the driver to surface immediately. What a cool car. Our #1 title holder for this episode goes to this giant 12-metre tall mechanical spider. Without doubt, one of the kookiest forms of transport we've ever seen. The giant arachnid went on a theatrical rampage in the Japanese city of Yokohama. La Machine is the brainchild of a group of French artists, designers and mechanics who put together this monster using a metal and wood. It takes a number of to control the spider, with 4 operating the feelers and 1 driver for each of the 8 legs. It certainly was a mighty display and looked like the set of a King Kong movie. While it impressed many of the large crowd, some of the younger got excited, bringing some to tears.
Because the machine looked so powerful, my daughter cried looking at it.
While some might have been frightened by the mechanical spider spewing foam and flames, others thought it was just brilliant.
I'm having a lot of fun. I'm surprised because of its jaw-dropping size.
I'm a little bit disappointed that it only moves the legs but doesn't walk, but that's not a big problem. Well, it was a theatrical demonstration. It wasn't a real giant spider. This was all part of a Japanese celebration of 150 years. It's the opening of the Yokohama shipping port to the west. A giant spider from the set of a Hollywood certainly showed how the West had influenced this celebration. The tourists squealed with, and the French creators of the spider were very pleased with the reaction it received. I think the reaction to the spider was good, and the city has adopted the spider, and they were sympathetic to it. This morning we woke her up gently, thanks to the English musician Rachel Goldwyn, who was playing the harp. So she woke the spider up with the sound of her harp, and we saw this mécanique savante was docile. So I think the Japanese people have adopted her like she was in Liverpool. Yokohama became one of the first Japanese cities to allow Westerners to trade with locals, after the nation changed its 200-year policy of self-imposed isolation. Such a big occasion demanded some big props. We think the spider fitted the bill perfectly. See you next time for a very kooky countdown.